people. Hello, hello. Let's see that I have audio, that I have video. Shalom Chaim. Shalom Am Yisrael Chai. Wait, did that not? There. Okay. Come on. Yes, no? Yes. Okay, hold on a second. Let's just see. Yes, and I'll mute that. It's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. Hello, hello. Hi, so very ordinary. It's nice to have you here. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words. And we have not even begun yet. Okay, so day 3 of Nazarite Awareness Week series. Tonight we will be discussing a little bit about the nature of life and death through the lens, let's say, of the Naziriteship. And then, just run-of-the-mill Q&A, same deal. So the poll tonight is, it was YouTube's AI that suggested this particular poll. Which of the three facets of the vow do you think is most difficult? So we have one vote saying the no haircut, no brush, no comb. Okay, I could definitely see why that would be. So all right, let's talk a little bit about life and death in the Nazarite vow. Well, it goes back to Eden, right? First and foremost, it goes back to Eden. In Eden, in Eden, death came into creation, right? According to the account of creation in Genesis. Before that, it was life, not as opposed to death, but a life that was different, not life in this physical world of good and evil. A different sort of life, a different plane of existence, if you will. And there was no death. Death came into the world, right? The commandment is, if you partake of the fruit of knowledge of good and evil, when you are not supposed to, death will come into the world and you will surely die. Mot tamut. Oh, hey, Robert is here. Hello, Robert. I'm at the airport, so I can't hear anything. No bars, but I send you peace, luck, love, joy. Thank you. Hello, Robert. Good to see you, and thank you very much indeed. Luke Miller is here. Shalom, my friend. How are you? I'm doing pretty well. Doing all right. Cool Darth Vader shirt. Yep. It says, best dad in the galaxy. Yeah, you gotta love Vader. So, death comes into creation, where it's death as opposed to life. Pardon me?
It's a Mr. Death.
Oh, it's one of the men from the village. It's a Mr. Death about the reaping. Have a good one, doll face. Okay. Death comes into the world in Eden. That is also where death will be taken out of creation, right? Back in Eden when we partake of the fruit of the tree of life. I've spoken of this so many times. And when it comes to the Naziriteship more particularly, it is, as I've mentioned yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, the Nazirite, by abstaining from the left side, extricating, right, and detaching oneself from the left side, the dark side, the other side, they are able to sanctify life and embrace the tree of life in a way where it's a little different than your run-of-the-mill Torah-observing Hebrew person or run-of-the-mill righteous, humble human being. Jew or not Jew, it doesn't matter. Tragic love story, no triangle. Oh, I'm sorry. I always felt Ray should have married Leia's son and ruled the Empire before being wiped out together by Luke's rebel forces. Ugh. The sequels. Oof. Blue says, can I convert to Jew? Yes, you can. We have converts. Hey, Stone Smurf is here. The family and I are good. I hope all is well with you. Eden to Zion, says Robert Harrison. Indeed, and back again. I'm here for the pizza and Dr. Pepper, says Mr. Z. Pizza and Dr. Pepper. I mean, I haven't had proper pizza in a very long time. So, wow, but Dr. Pepper is indeed tasty. So death comes into the world. The Nazarite is commanded to stay away from contact with human corpses, right? With human death, corpses. And the corpse of the body of a human being, known as a corpse, proximity to it physically, proximity or being in a place where there is a dead body, like a morgue, a cemetery, these are things which defile the individual. So let's get some clarity on defilement. And those of you who have been in this channel for a while know that defilement is a nuanced thing. There is no, you're either ritually clean or ritually unclean. There are degrees. There is nuance. Being ritually unclean because you partook of a non-kosher animal and ate it is not the same as being next to a dead body, right? The emission of semen is not exactly the same as menstrual blood. There are differences, right? Or menstrual blood is not exactly the same defilement as a woman who is bleeding when it's not her regular period, outside of her cycle. So we see there are different degrees of ritual uncleanliness, ritual impurity. Now let's make this even more nuanced and even more clear. Ritual impurity doesn't mean you are dirty. It means that right now you do not have the ability to partake of certain practices, physical and spiritual alike. It's a timely thing. It's a cyclic thing. There are always people who are ritually pure and always people who are ritually impure. It's part of the natural circle of life for us to be ritually pure and impure as the days go on, as the weeks and months and years go on. And there are ways to become unclean, and likewise there are different ways to become clean, be it an immersion in a mikveh, or be it right from your run-of-the-mill immersion in a ritual pool, right down to the red heifer and the ashes and the holy water and the hyssop branch, and you sprinkle it on the person, and that is how on the third and seventh day you are made pure from defilement of death, right, of human death. Human death is known as the father of fathers of defilement. Avi avot hatum'ah. By abstaining from contact with human death, the Nazarite man or woman, they take themselves out of that equation, as it were, and they cleave to the tree of life. Now, a Samson Nazarite, that's the Nazarite vow that I took, the Samson Nazarite is unique in the defilement of death category because there is no, the defilement of a corpse does not break the Nazariteship, unlike the other types of Nazarites. The Nazariteship of the Samson variety is unbroken. It cannot be broken in the sense that the others can be broken. It's also for life from the onset. There's no cutting of the hair, whereas other Nazarites can cut it once every 12 months, depending on their type of Nazarite vow. And I went into this earlier this week with the hair video. This idea of abstaining from death and sanctifying life, this idea of basically removing yourself to some degree from that world of good and evil that we are in certain things, in certain specific things, mind you. You're still living in this world, you're still drawing breath, you still eat, you still drink, you still go to the bathroom, you still have sex, you do the physical thing. What is it that you are aiming at, asks the Torah. What is it that you are pursuing? The Nazarite takes him or herself out of that equation in some ways, in some very unique and specific ways, right? That left side, that side of good and evil, and they cleave to the tree of life. And it invites a higher element of divine revelation and emanation into the world. The Nazarite comes from the word Nazir, right? That's the translation. Nazir comes from the root Nun Zayin Resh, which means Keter. Nezer in Hebrew is Keter. At least it's one meaning of the word. It has a couple of meanings, and that is one of them. I will read one verse. It's in the video's description if you want to follow. From Numbers 6, verse 7, the JPS Tanach says, "He shall not make himself unclean for his father, or for his mother, for his brother, or for his sister, when they die, because his consecration unto God is upon his head." The Nazarite man or woman are consecrated. To be consecrated means to be set apart. To be holy means to be set apart. So, the priest, for instance, the priest can be defiled for the 7 relations, which is spouse, mother, father, son, daughter, brother, sister. 7 relations, what's known as the Shiva Akrovim, the 7 intimate relations. The priest, the mundane, regular, everyday priest, can be defiled for those people. The high priest is a bit of a different thing. The Nazarite likens him or herself in that way to the high priest, which is not to be defiled by any kind of death. And it's so the way in which, right, to be a priest, you need to be born in the tribe of Levi from the family of Aaron, brother of Moses, son of Amram. To be the high priest once in a generation, or once, until he dies, or until he dies in the holiest of holies or of natural causes. Until death, there is a high priest. Sometimes a high priest would rule, right, and be a high priest would serve, rather not rule, serve for like 80 years, like Shimon HaTzadik. And sometimes they would switch every year because they would die when they would enter the holiest of holies on the holiday of atonement, and they would burn the incense and die, and another high priest would replace them. There was a lot of churning, a high churn rate towards the destruction of the Second Temple, towards those times when the high priests used to buy their position with money. The Nazirite is like the high priest in some things, but whereas the high priest represents the higher right element, the Nazirite represents the place that is before the split into left and right, before good and evil, before higher mother and higher father, before higher feminine and higher masculine revelation. That place is called the crown, the root of creation itself. The Nazirite does this how? By growing the hair, abstaining from human death, and cutting out the root of that fruit of knowledge of good and evil, as it were, it practically, symbolically, right, the grape, which we discussed yesterday. Matters of life and death. We all live, and everything that lives dies. I know that there is this unique, specific jellyfish, if I'm not mistaken. It's a jellyfish, I don't recall the Latin name, that is practically immortal, because when it starts to degenerate, it regenerates. And it goes back into the, let's say, embryo stage or pupa stage or whatever it is, that earlier stage. And so it can indeed live forever. Look it up. There is a creation that can, hypothetically speaking, live forever, because when it starts to degenerate, it regenerates. Much like our skin can regenerate, and much like the tail of a lizard can regrow, and other things of that nature, this creation, this deep-sea creature, has this eternal life element to it. There must be something to it, but I don't know. I know that it was discovered, I don't remember when, but that's something that hypothetically could live forever. But basically, everything that lives dies. And it's always a question of what is it you do with the time that you have? What is it that you are doing while you are still drawing breath in this world, in this body? The Nazirite says, I want to remove myself as much as I can from this world of death. I want to go back to the place before death came into the world. And indeed, the Nazirite vow, says Rabbi Yehoshua Friedman in his book Nazir Elohim, Nazirite of God, Nazirite of Elohim. All right, speaking of the Zohar and the Ramak, he says that when you are able, and Rav Gavriel David, the Nazirite, also brings this down in his book Nazirut Israel, the Naziriteship of Israel. He says that in the very same way that the people of Israel were elevated just before, right, when they received the Ten Commandments, and all of that time when Moses was up on the mountain, up until that moment where he smashed the original tablets and had to make second ones. And so there was a step down. The first tablets were all divinely given. The second tablets were a partnership. Moses hews the stone, the divine revelation writes the words. The first one was all by God, right, and divine revelation. The second one was a partnership. So you can see why it is the second one that we were able to actually receive. The first one, however, represents a more primordial sort of thing, and this is indeed what the Naziriteship is, in essence. It is that crown, that root of creation. That's why the Nazirite is called holy. We are commanded in the Torah to set ourselves apart, and the people of Israel do that to a great degree. 613 commandments. It's like, take your pick. You could separate yourself in so many ways, in how we worship, and in how we eat, and in how we dress, and in how we speak, and so many other ways in which the people of Israel are separated, and I mean that in the positive sense of the word. And the Nazirite is an optional thing that a man or woman of Israel can take onto themselves and say, no, I want to do something else. Now, there is no reason given to why someone would take the Nazirite vow. That's a personal thing. Indeed, every Nazirite that I have spoken to had their own particular, unique, personal reason for taking the vow. But this idea of removing yourself in some respects from that world of good and evil, that world of death, and cleaving to that root before good and evil, before duality, before dichotomy, before the split, right? The triangle, right? The three higher sphirot, going to the crown. Now, this week is the week of Parashat Naso, where the Nazarite vow appears in the Torah. The only time it appears in the Torah. A very small group of verses. 8 verses basically lay it out. The rest of the verses are what if it is broken and what does he do when it is fulfilled. For someone like a Samson Nazarite, it's the first 8 or 7 verses that really make the guts of it. And even that, right, the Samson Nazarite has no defilement of death. But I digress a little bit. The idea of the Naziriteship as something that's very small, right? And it appears in such a small amount of number of verses. The Zohar on this week's Torah portion of Naso, where the Nazarite vow appears, the Zohar has what is called the Idra Rabbah. The Idra Rabbah is the time when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who, it's argued, wrote the Zohar, revealed the Zohar, he died. This is when he died. The revelations, it's called the Idra Rabbah, it's also called the Idra of the Nazarite. This week's Torah portion in the Zohar is very long. And in it, there is the place where the Nazarite comes into the picture, because the Zohar basically talks about the weekly Torah portion, and through the talking and discussing the weekly Torah portion reveals different secrets and Kabbalistic teachings. When it comes to the part of the Nazarite, therein begins something unbelievable. Secrets which Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai until that time said could not be revealed. And what are these secrets that he is revealing? You can ask a Kabbalist. What it is discussing is the hair of the head, the hair of the face, but mainly the hair of the head. There is the discussion on the nature of the scalp and the roots and the follicles and the channels of divine energy which the Nazarite's hair represent. Now, once again, let's be very clear. This is just hair. It's just dead. The root is alive and the follicles are living. And the rest of it is dead keratin, decayed. Oh, wait, I need to mute the phone. Boop, boop. And I'm back. Yes? Yes. It's just dead hair, right? The root is alive, and it gives life to the rest of it, so to speak. The idea of the hair, right, coming from inside, organic, unlike the king that has a crown on his head, externally placed, unlike the high priest that has oil poured on his head, again, externally placed. The Nazarite's crown comes from inside, organic, not a crown with, precious metals and jewels, not oil of persimmon or olive or any other precious and rare fruit. No, it's an organic crown of separation that grows from the highest place, from a hidden place inside the scalp, all the way from the highest place to the lowest possible region. And what did they say in hair? Grow it, flow it, show it, long as God can grow it, my hair. You don't have to have hair to be a Nazarite, but if you do have hair, you are commanded to grow it out, because then it represents not judgment, not constraint, not any kind of narrowness, not the hand that pushes away, not the hand that keeps to itself. It is representative of harmony, of a root, of something harmonious, which is not a harmony of synthesis between two or more elements, but something which is at the root before synthesis was even a thing. I'm sorry, what is it? It's thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. So before the thesis, before the antithesis, before the synthesis, it is that higher root, that place where it all comes from. There are people who say that this is the very reason why a Nazarite who vows for a set period of time is supposed to bring a sin offering along with a thanksgiving offering and a couple of other things when their vow is complete. Why? What did the Nazarite do? It seems that the Nazarite is holy unto the Lord, a crown of separation on his or her head. Why should they be made to bring a sin offering? A few different opinions in the sages. One of them in the commentaries is because it was for a set period of time and not for life. And it could have been for life. And yet this Nazarite man or woman decided to do it for a set period of time and then lower themselves back to where they were. But even then, the Naziriteship is so informing, and it leaves such an impression on the human being that the Torah says in those verses in Numbers 6, After the vow is complete, it says, and then the Nazirite will drink wine. After the vow is complete, the hair has already been shaved off and put inside of the fire, right, for the Thanksgiving offering. And then it says the Nazirite will drink wine. And why call him a Nazirite if they literally just completed their vow and fulfilled it? You'd think they would say, and then this person would drink wine. Why do they still call them a Nazirite after their vow was fulfilled? Because we have a rule in the Talmud and in the Midrashic teachings, ma'alin b'kodesh ve'ein moridin. You go higher in sanctity and not lower. Once the Nazirite man or woman have made this connection with the root, with the crown, even though their vow might end, even though they may once again partake of grapes, even though they may once again get a haircut, even though they may once again visit a cemetery or go bury someone or be in proximity to a dead human body, there's something about them that has fundamentally changed. There's something about them which remains in that place. In the spiritual realms, if you will, once something goes up, unlike here with gravity, what goes up must come down. What goes up, a part of it never ever comes down. So when a Nazirite man or woman decide to take on this vow, it really is matters of life and death, because even if it was during the time of the temple when a set period of time vow was permissible and allowed, there's something about them that had fundamentally changed. Matters of life and death indeed. To extricate yourself from the world of death and to invite the world of life, that Edenic element of the tree of life, into creation, into your world, into your life. Even if it's for a short period of time, you have touched something so root, so primordial, that it affects you for life. Let's go to the poll. Let's go to the poll. The poll says, 66 votes in, 35% of you are going with the hair being the most difficult, 30% say, yeah, they pretty much all suck. 20% say no contact with human death. 15% say grapes, wine, vinegar, raisins. That's interesting. 35% with the hair. Another thought, said Stoned Smurf. Another thought-provoking point. Samson was a Nazirite, so thinking about it, he killed a lot of people when he tore the temple down. So how did God view him then? Did his vow stay because he died? Well, the vow of a Samson Nazirite is until the grave, and some say afterwards. But until the grave, to be sure, it's for life. When he died, it's actually a difference of opinion on Samson's fate and on whether or not he has his share in the coming world or the world to come. The Zohar and the Talmud speak of Samson's very unique position where he did certain things that were not really allowed, but it was something that was divinely mandated. It even goes so far as to say when his parents are saying, have you found no good woman among your sisters that you're going to the Philistines to marry someone? And it says there that they did not know that it was from God, so that Samson would have the reason to go after the Philistines. Unlike other judges that appear in the book of Judges, he did not lead an army. Could you lower it, please? Hello. He did not lead an army into battle against another army. He was like a lone wolf, not part of a wolf pack. Incidentally, Shualei Shimshon, the wolves of Samson, where he put the brands, right? He put the torches of fire and he put them and he put their tails together and he sent them out. Foxes, those were foxes, not wolves. The foxes of Samson. The Samson Nazirite, not the Samson Nazirite, Samson the Nazirite. Some say that he is the epitome of Naziriteship and something to emulate, and some say no, he is the failure of the Naziriteship and he's showing you exactly what not to do. So as for how did God view him, I don't know how God viewed him. I don't know God, right? All I know is how God reveals himself to me. I have just a feeling that he did indeed fulfill the mission that he was set out to complete, right? To do. His name Shimshon, incidentally, Shemesh means sun. Shimshon means little sun, right? It's like a miniature version of the sun. So Samson was like a little sun. Right? Shams in Arabic, Shemesh in Hebrew, a little sun. The sun is something that we revolve around. as a planet, right? The sun represents the higher divine masculine presence. The sun represents that source of light, unlike the moon, which reflects the light. And wait, you lower it a bit? Thank you. Just a bit. Shimshon, they say, is one of the names of the Most High God. Right? God has many names in the Hebrew faith, one of them being Shimshon. I think that, he killed a lot of people. He killed a lot of Philistines that day when he brought the temple down. More than he did when he was alive. He killed in his death. He wanted vengeance. Vengeance from 1 out of 2 eyes that they took out. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Why don't you believe in Prophet Muhammad, says Mesnaldo. The Hebrews don't believe in Muhammad because we do not believe. Hey, Shalom is here. Look at that. Hey, Shalom. How you doing? The Hebrews do not believe that Muhammad was a prophet for the Hebrews. He may have well been a prophet for other nations, other people, and indeed Muslims say that he was for them, but not for the Hebrew people. Are you okay from the big-ass bomb that dropped a few days ago? What was up with that? I don't know, Levy L2869. I don't know that a big bomb dropped. I have not followed the news for a few weeks, and I'm a lot happier. So, no, I have no idea. Have you ever read about Philo of Alexandria? Hey, Hoodiscat, good to see you again. You know, the name sounds familiar, but I haven't read, definitely not recently, and if I did read about Philo of Alexandria, it must have been a very long time ago. Was he a historian? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was he a historian? I don't recall. Hey, Josh Travers is here. Savage Alaskan says, tell us about the Talmud. Okay, the Talmud is a book of debate, of lore, of legend, and it's where rabbinic law is derived from. It was compiled and canonized over a long time. Canonized in the 3rd century, I believe, of the Common Era, by Abaye and Rava, if I'm not mistaken. And there is the Babylonian Talmud and the Jerusalem Talmud. It's the oral traditions that were not meant to be written down, but they were written down lest they be forgotten, and it's one of the primary texts of the oral Torah, where rabbinic law, halacha, is derived from. That is the Talmud. Mesnaldo says, but your most famous former rabbi in Arabia by the name of Abdullah ibn Salam testified based on the Torah at their time that Muhammad was a true prophet. Can you please give me a source? I would love to learn more of this Abdullah ibn Salam. So please give me a source. Leave me a comment, Mesnando. If I don't see you again in the chat, leave a comment on any one of my videos, and hopefully YouTube will notify me, and I'll be able to check that out. Tell Talmud about us, says unknown user. I'll be sure to do that next time I see him for coffee. What the fuck is this, says Imperial X. Well, we are here discussing the Nazarite vow and faith, religion, spirituality, self-development, underarm farts, regular farts, pretty much whatever is thrown at the table, whatever is thrown on the table. Am Yisrael Chai, greetings from Italy. Hey Marco, the people of Israel live. Indeed, speaking of life and death, the people of Israel live, and other peoples as well, of course. Now, there are those who take the Nazarite vow for life. There are those who take it for a set period of time. There are those who take it, and if they are defiled by a corpse, they need to restart the counting. But the idea of the Nazirite and of clinging to the tree of life and of clinging to that Edenic path, I see this as something where the Nazirite is simply the Hebrew manifestation or the Jewish manifestation, the Mosaic manifestation of something that is a root human thing. Because with the Nazirite vow, you go back to a certain root that comes before the split into good and evil, left and right, yin and yang, yes and no, Jews and Gentiles. There's a kind of something about the Nazirite vow that seeks that singularity before the split, right? The top of the pyramid, where there is only one, there is only the root. Now, even after all of that is said and done, we are living here in this world, a soul and a body, living in a world of good and evil, living in the world of asiya, as it's known, a world of action, a world of doing. And as such, we cannot fully extricate ourselves from the world. The Nazirite still is commanded, like any other Jew, let's say, to be fruitful and multiply, right? Get married, have kids, live in the world, have a job, give to charity. Don't simply be a guru in a cave somewhere, right? Be in the world. Keep your head in the clouds and your feet firmly on the ground. And while this pertains to men and women of the Hebrew faith by and large, with the Naziriteship, it is even more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, it's emphasized a little bit more. Because you are restricted even more on what you can eat and not eat, where you can go and what you can do. And you grow your hair, and many people throughout history have grown their hair. Dreadlocks and other types of hair have been symbols of sacred men and women in all kinds of cultures, as was the shaved head. Both of them for the same reason, right? Things to do with vanity, things to do with pride, things to do with externalities. The Nazarite is simply one Hebrew way of reaching something that is beyond Hebrew and non-Hebrew, right? It's something that speaks to a higher root, a crown, right? That's why it's called Nezel. Shalom, חבר שם המשפחה המילולי שלי על מדבקות פגוש בישראל. Okay, you have your name on bumper stickers in Israel? Not sure what you mean. Turn your head and cough, LOL inside. What?
Don't do that.
Okay, you don't want me to turn my head and cough?
They're gonna make a photo of a dick inside your mouth.
Oh, perfect. You want to click me?
Die.
What?
That's it.
Why not?
That's it.
People, my crown prince has informed me that if I turn my head and cough, I will be clipped and there will be a human phallus photoshopped or otherwise inserted into the frame. Now, I must know. What's the deal? Hey, is this your live stream or is it my live stream? People, tell him. Yeah, I'm embarrassing him. Fine, I won't do it right now. We'll do it later. If you listen closely, this is a bunch of horse shit. LMFAO says slam dealer. All right, slam dealer. Of course it's horse shit. It's horse shit. It's bullshit. It's cow shit. It's sheep shit. It's human shit for sure. Our Nazarite and Baha'i friends, Mormon Rishi says. Well, as much as Jews and Baha'is are friends, right, and to come from the religions of Abraham, I would say yes, Nazarites are not different from any other Torah-keeping Jew. Interesting, WTF? If you regurgitate from a book, says Gain, then you have no idea how to practice faith. Well, what do you mean if you regurgitate from a book? You're allowed to explore faith in your way and still cling to the texts and the holy sacred books of your faith and your religion and your ancestry. Those things are not mutually exclusive. It's not you either regurgitate or you have real, what did you call it? Or you have an idea of how to practice faith. The Torah, the written and the oral written Torah, right? The oral Torah and the written Torah alike inform the man or woman of the Hebrew faith how to practice that faith in reality, right? Day to day, week to week, month to month. How to perform everything from, right, the different rituals that are on a daily basis, a weekly basis, monthly and annual basis, the different festivals and the pilgrimages and whatever the case may be. So it's not a question of regurgitating from a book. You can regurgitate from a book because you have studied the book. It doesn't mean you simply do it as a kind of lip service. I know that when I speak of certain verses and when I regurgitate things, and I do, but the regurgitation is not this automatic, vomiting of words with no meaning behind it. I think I mean everything I say, and I say everything I mean, to the degree that I do that over here. If you're just saying words and you have no meaning behind them, if you are simply reciting verses, but you have not yet explored your personal attachment and connection to them, then perhaps I would agree. But when I bring a verse, or when I cite a book, or when I bring some sort of a piece of lore, I have a unique connection with it, and I make a distinct effort to connect it to what we are doing here and to make it as plain and clear as possible to myself and the viewers and the chatters. So it's not simply that I'm saying things as axioms, here's a verse, deal with it. No, I try and make it actually work in the world by bringing, whether it's commentary or whether it's interpretation or whether it's translation, if necessary. So I understand what you're saying, Gain 2287. I don't think this is how this particular channel operates. And still I say that if, with the Hebrew faith anyway, let's say the Psalms, right? You can simply be speaking and chanting and reading the Psalms, and it would still be beneficial because they have that quality. They hold a unique attribute. They are like a sword, right? They are like a sword that hacks off at the thorns of a rose or a lily. No idea how to practice faith? That's too much of a generalization. So I understand what you're saying, but I don't fully agree. I do not fully agree. Deleted user says, love from USA. Hello. How long is the typical Nazarite vow? So Nazareth is a town in Israel. Nazarite is a vow. Nazareth is a town. Those who take on the Nazarite vow are Nazarites. Those who live in Nazareth are called the Nazarenes. Two very different things. The typical one is now for life because we don't have a temple to complete the offerings by bringing to complete the vow by bringing sacrificial offerings. So right now the typical one is for life, even if you do it for a set period of time. 30 days onward is the minimum. 30 days, and let's say you complete the 30 days, you cannot fulfill the vow without bringing the offerings to the temple. Wait, could you not do? You're making it shake. Thank you. So the typical vow nowadays is for life. Let's see. How many distinct persons called Yahweh are mentioned in Genesis? Well, Yahweh is not persons. Yod-Heh Vav-Heh is one of the names of God. It represents a specific divine revelation. Depending on how you spell it and what punctuation you use, then Yod-Heh Vav-Heh means different revelations or different emanations, different sfirot. When you connect it to specific verses and words in Genesis that precede it and come after it, then you can more understand the connection between what's being discussed in the account of creation. So I'm not exact, or in Genesis 19 rather, what you're saying, and in the account of creation, as it were. But okay. So what do you mean, Diva don't play? I like the username. Tika says, brother, I thought you were Seri Tankin for a second with that awesome beard. I don't know who Seri Tankin is, but all right, I thank you for the compliment. It's just a beard. I've never shaved. It's just a natural beard. Do you think Tyler Oliver should have been banned from Israel? I don't know who Tyler Oliver is, Stadimus. Good to see you again. I don't know who that person is. I'm sorry, I'm ignorant. Remember Herzog, President Clinton's farewell speech, Shalom Chaver? That's literally my family name. Clinton, not, what? Shalom Chaver was uttered by Clinton for Yitzhak Rabin, not Herzog. Yitzhak Rabin, after he was assassinated, then yes. Shalom Chaver was uttered by President Clinton. Thank you, sir, says praying, nice shirt, and who's your father? Indeed, who's your daddy? Let's continue. Bro, why do you look like a guy that on Interpol, says Tay Josh? I don't know what you mean. What about the Interpol? Isn't that the international law enforcement? What do you like about Orthodox Judaism, says Mustafa? Nearly everything. I don't currently consider myself Orthodox, but having grown up modern Orthodox in Jerusalem, 90-something% of Orthodox Judaism is wonderful and beautiful. Or at the very, very least, or to dial it back, it's like there is the potential of 90-something% being absolutely beautiful. Of course, it depends on your tradition, depends on the rabbinic law you follow, depends on the rabbi, the living rabbi which you follow. What do I like about it? I think it's a wonderful path. I think those who keep strict halacha and halacha at large are on a wonderful and lovely path. That's literally what halacha means, walking or path. That idea of walking before God, right? God says to Avram, "Hithalech lefanai veheyatamim," walk before me and be blameless, or walk before me and be whole, or walk before me and be perfect. This idea of walking before God, this is what halacha, this is what rabbinic law facilitates. What do I like about it? Pretty much everything. Pretty much everything. Of course, you can find places where it's inadequate. It has shortcomings. It has places where it might seem misogynist, and it might seem racist and bigoted and hateful and spiteful and mean, and there are indeed Orthodox Jews who personify those very attributes or terms or elements of nastiness. You can find that in rabbinic law, much like you can find it in the Torah if you look for it. As always, the question is, now what? And for me, Orthodox Judaism is the path, it's the way, not as opposed to others which are not, mind you, but simply for the Hebrew man or woman who want to keep Torah as far as the oral law and the written law, right? There is something about Orthodox Judaism. Again, this is not to take away from conservative Judaism, Reform Judaism, and any other denomination. I simply only know the Orthodox traditions in depth, having lived them for many years and currently still really living them, though I don't define myself as religious or Orthodox, as I said. I don't want to put that label on me, give people the wrong impression. But it's such a wonderful, beautiful path of Torah and of toil. And I mean that in the positive sense of the word, right? Of spirituality and physicality. You look just like a Jew too, says Matthew. Yes, that's what I've been told. My dream is to open a Taco Bell in Jerusalem, says Less Sugar. Really, Less Sugar, good to see you again. Why a Taco Bell? What do you call Moses in Hebrew? Well, his Hebrew name, he had like 10 of them. The original Hebrew name, it's not said in the Torah, but it is said in the external teaching, was Avigdor. That was his given name. After some time, when Bitya, the daughter of Pharaoh, took him, she named him Moshe. Right? She named him Moshe after limshot. To limshot is to take up, to retrieve. Moshe was his Egyptian name. Moses, Musa, was his Egyptian given name. His Hebrew name, he had a few of them, Hevel, Avigdor, a few others I don't recall off the top of my head, and I don't want to misspeak. What is on your t-shirt? It's Darth Vader, of course. My man. Interesting, very interesting, says Amit. Ma kore, Amit? Hello, sir, are you a real Jew? Well, define real, gay dolphin. Are you a real gay dolphin? Yes, I would be considered a real Jew by Semites and anti-Semites alike. Although there are many who would call me a fake Jew, and many do call me a fake Jew. Unfortunately, they have no leg to stand on and nothing whatsoever to back it up with ever. So they just like to blah, blah, blah. And I'm sympathetic to the blah, blah, blah. Look at what I'm doing right now. Why I'm blah, blah, blahing with the best of them. Hey, Goosup is here, or Jusup, what's up, brother? He says, what's up indeed? Are you familiar with this racist name, Avigdor Miller? Avigdor Miller, I'm not sure. Who is Avigdor Miller? No, I'm not familiar with that racist. I want to bring Western fast food to the Jewish people to help them enjoy life, says Less Sugar. Well, I'll tell you, we had KFC here, most of them closed, maybe all of them. We had McDonald's here, most of them closed. We had Dunkin' Donuts here, all of them, I think, closed. We had other sort of franchises that tried to make it work. Because of the recipe needing to be kosher under some conditions in some branches, and because the Israeli palate is different than the American palate, it just doesn't work. Can you make it work? Yes. Has it worked so far? Not really. Not really. Okay. Let's take a swig of tea here. I have black tea with a squeeze of lemon. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shakol niyeh b'dvaro. Oh, yeah. Okay. Is it true, says Mahmoud, that in Torah, Jewish people are forbidden to have their own country? No, it's exactly the opposite. We have our ancestral home, and we are commanded to return to it. The question is, and this is where Zionism, modern-day Zionism comes into the fold, with people who are Jews who are anti-Zionist, Jews who are religious Zionists. The question is, as always, do you have the physical and then the spiritual, or the spiritual and then you build the physical? That's what the controversy is all about. So it's not true that Jews or Hebrews are forbidden to have their country according to Torah. It's exactly the opposite. The entire point of the crux of the matter is what comes first. Those who are anti-modern-day Zionism say, nope, we should wait for a Messiah, a king, a messenger, a prophet, an angel, whatever, to give us the go-ahead. And others say, no, it's up to us, it's on us, it's up to us to give us the go-ahead. And then the Spirit, right, once we have the physical foundation, then the Spirit will come and fill it, just like the tabernacle was erected, and only then was the Spirit and dwelling, let's say, the revelation of dwelling of God, only then did it dwell. Same thing happened with the temple. Only after it was built by Solomon did the divine revelation rest in it. In the very same way, the state of Israel, despite all its insufficiencies, is building up that physical infrastructure, that physical establishment, that physical tent of meeting, if you will, where later the spiritual element will be poured in, just like it says in the dry bones of Ezekiel. There are those who have their own texts, right, in which they anchor their views, which say, no, 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 it's forbidden, it's against the Torah to start a state or a kingdom without a divine mandate or without, a messenger, a prophet. Rainbow is all the colors, but it's clear, says Josh. Well, it's broken light, right? What does Leonard Cohen say? There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And we are broken light. Charity to your own community shouldn't be counted. It's like investing, not giving away. Well, I'll tell you, halacha sees it the other way around. Halacha says, Aniyei eirecha kodmim. The poor people of your own local area are the ones who ought to come first. The poor people of your own town come first, and that's what I do. Every shekel that shows up through YouTube in my bank account ends up in the hands of a charity organization here in Jerusalem that serves all Jerusalemites, right? Jews and Muslims and Christians and Baha'i and Druze and whoever else is here. What do you think of Islam, says Mustafa? I have no thoughts of Islam because so far they have been shaped by war and bloodshed and terrorism and woe and tragedy. And I've never opened the Quran for that reason. Once we have justice and real peace in the region, then I shall delve into the Quran. Now, Seven Ishma, says Niv, indeed, we shall perform or practice, and we shall listen, we shall hear. And Harav HaNazir, David HaKohen, with his book Kol HaNevuah HaHigayon HaIvri HaShim'i, right? The Hebrew logic of hearing, the audio, right? The audible Hebrew logic, the voice of prophecy, he called it. He said the Naziriteship was a stepping stone to prophecy, incidentally. Yes, Na'aseh v'nishma. We will do it and we will hear it. We will perform it and we will listen to it. We will first make action happen, make things happen in the world, and we will hearken to it. What's up, doll? Oh, you're talking to him. Okay. Mashlom Chayakiri, says Ahmed. Shlomi Tov. Tamam, kulu tamam. Uinta. Kif halek. I am the man of the earth, says Wesley. Shut up, Wesley. That was my Picard. Does it sound like Picard? I was aiming for Picard. Visit Jerusalem, says Richard. Why, I'm here right now. It is indeed worth a visit. Are you chosen, says PW. We are all chosen. That's what I say. Taking my charger cable?
Does it work for you with this? Does it work?
Yeah, it works. I'm telling you.
It only charges at your
Then that's your connection. It works. Oh, it works poorly, but it works. Ofald says, do you have any recommendations for books, websites, or YouTube channels that best represent Judaism? You are wise. I appreciate the streams. How do you study your faith? Well, first of all, I appreciate it. I don't consider myself wise. I'm just a learner, just a student. Look, the best books that represent Judaism is the Bible. Because there you can find what to do and what not to do. And there's more of what not to do. You can find the history. Even if it is history represented in allegorical or canonical archetypal stories, they still were put together for us to gain wisdom from. So I would say go with the Torah, go with the prophets, go with the writings, and see what went on those thousands of years ago and have it help to inform your judgment and your behavior and your speech and your doing and your dealings here and now. How do I study my faith? I primarily study Torah on a regular basis with the 5 books of Moses that I try to study every day in accordance with the weekly Torah portion. I don't do it every day, but I try to do it every day. Otherwise, if I don't learn Torah every day, I pray every day, spontaneous dialogue, what is called hitbodedut, seclusion, just an ongoing spontaneous dialogue with the Most High God, not from a specific prayer book, not from a specific mandated thing that was canonized by our sages, 2,000 years ago or now, but just like I'm doing with you right now, just speech, spontaneous speech from the guts, from the heart, from the head. And on Fridays and new moons and festivals and holidays and so on, special days, very special days indeed. Then I study Pardes Rimonim, which is the canonical opus magnum of the Ramak, right, and his lore in Kabbalah, his school of thought on Kabbalah. That is truly a canonical book, and I am just moments, a day or two away. I will finish it probably now. Now, in a couple of days, we have the festival of Pentecost, of Shavuot, leading into Shabbos. And so we have what's called a Yom Tov, a holiday, and Shabbos one day after the other, meaning it will be about 50 hours, give or take, 50 hours without screens, without electricity, right? Without turning things on and off. We do have the timers that have things go on and off of their own accord. The point I'm trying to make is that I will have now a lot of time, and I'm going to finish Pardes Rimonim for the third time. I started learning that particular book over a decade ago, 11 or 12 years ago, and I'm going to finish it now for the third time. So it's taken me on average 4 years to finish it once. It's a very long book. I study it only on specific dates and, certain times. Like I said, Shabbos, new moon, festivals, holidays, special days. I'm going to finish it again soon. And then I need to decide if I'm going to restart it for the fourth time or do something a little different. But I digress. I digress plenty. It's part of what I do here. No YouTube, says Bernie. No YouTube? Yes, YouTube. Aye. You have to realize that Jesus is the Messiah. It will resonate as truth to your spirit. Jesus said, if I lift it up, I shall draw all men unto me. Okay, I'm willing to agree that he may have been the Messiah, but then he died. And the fact that he was resurrected and ascended means nothing. He's still dead, a dead king. He cannot be a living king if he died. So, once he died, his reign ended, and that's pretty much it. JP is here. Hey, JP. Do we know if Samson repented before he died? Well, first of all, the hair started growing, and the Bible is very specific about making a note of that his hair started growing after it was shaved. Second of all, he did turn to God and speak, right, and say, give me this, right, help me, strengthen me, chazkenina, strengthen me, please. What else would I have before he died? He made it to the hall of faith in the book of Hebrews somehow. And what is Pentecost? So Pentecost is 50 days after the holiday of Passover. It's one of the 3 pilgrimages, one of the Shlosha Regalim. It is the day of the giving of the Torah on the 6th day of the month of Sivan, the 6th day of the 2nd month biblically, and the 8th month chronologically now. And it is a very special day. Many people, men and women alike, they are awake all night on the eve and the night of Pentecost, and they learn Torah, and they learn the Idra Rabbah, right? What we are talking about now, right? The Zohar that pertains, the bits of the Zohar that pertain to the Nazarite vow and the Nazarite hair, rather, not the vow, but the hair, and what it represents, and they read it. People go through, depending on your Eastern or Western tradition, Ashkenazi, Mizrahi, Sfaradi, Taimani, right, Yemeni, all kinds of different traditions having to do with what's called the Tikkun Leil Shavuot, the rectification of the night of Shavuot. But Tikkun is twofold. It means to repair or to rectify, and it also means to adorn. And indeed, on the morning, on sunrise of Shavuot, of Pentecost, 50 days, and we count those 50 days, the 50 days of the sheaf, of the Omer, 50 days, 49 days of the Omer, and then the 50th day, one step after the other, on the 50th day, going up to the mountain, so to speak, and receiving the Torah once again, So the holiday of Pentecost is a very special holiday, and it's like a day of marriage. It's a day of a wedding where Israel and their God re-solidify their covenant and remarry every year. That is what Pentecost is. Right, Penta, five books of Moses, the Torah. I think that's why they called it Pentecost. In Hebrew, it's called the holiday of weeks, Shavuot. It's called the holiday of the giving of the Torah, Chag Matan Torah. it is also said to be the yahrzeit, right? The day of death of David HaMelech, David, our king, David, son of Yishai. It is also known as Yom HaMaim, day of water, because the Torah is like water. It comes from the highest place to the lowest place possible. And like the Tao Te Ching says, he says the Tao, Lao Tzu says that the Tao is like water. It goes as deep as it possibly can and accepts every shape or form, right? Every shape or form, let's leave it at that, as scan, right? And it doesn't ask anything for itself. It simply goes wherever it goes. It doesn't fight. Water flows, and it takes on every shape that you put in it. It will take on that shape, right? The water. And what else? Chag Matan Torah, Chag Shavuot. It is called Chag HaBikurim, the holiday of the first fruit, where if you have, right, any of first fruit of the 7 fruit of which are associated with Israel, do I remember them offhand? Barley, wheat, dates, grapes, olives, and figs. Did I name them all? Oh, and pomegranate. There, I knew all 7. It took me a bit of time to translate and to figure them out, but yes. So if you have any of the first fruit of those 7 fruit or grains and fruit, right? Produce, that you bring to the temple. You keep it and you bring it on Shavuot, on the holiday of Pentecost. So Chag HaKatzir, and it's also the festival of harvest. So those are the 4 names: the festival of the harvest, the festival of the first fruit, the festival of the Torah, and the festival of weeks. It's also, right, the yahrzeit of King David and a day of water. That is what Pentecost is. Let's continue. Let's go with the poll. Good. Oh, whoops. Where did that go? I'm good? We're good? Yes. The poll. 169 votes in. 38% say no haircut. That's the most difficult thing. 32% say, yeah, they pretty much all suck. 16% say no contact with human death. 14% of you say that it's the wine, vinegar, raisins, and grapes in general. You don't believe that Christ rose on the 3rd day. No, as far as I'm concerned, he may have. That's fine. It doesn't matter to me if he rose or he didn't rise. It has its roots in the Hebrew Bible. It has a precedent in the Hebrew Bible, right? Reincarnation, not reincarnation. I'm sorry. Not reincarnation. Oh man, I'm a little tired. I might need to say goodbye soon, because if I'm starting to lose my words, it's almost been an hour. It's 15 minutes after midnight right now. Resurrection and ascension both have their roots in the Hebrew Bible. So I have no problem with saying that Jesus could have been Messiah, and then he died, and then he lived, and then he ascended. I have no problem believing that whatsoever. The point where it breaks down for me, as many people know over here, the regulars will know, is when people say, oh, and he's also God. That's where I say, sorry, don't accept that. Fawa says, do you have any tips for foreigners who wish to visit Jerusalem? No, you'll have to ask actual people who made the pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Like, is learning Hebrew a must? No, it's not a must. There are people who speak English everywhere, and there are signs in English everywhere, and in Arabic too, for that matter. English would be enough. How to respect the culture? I mean, don't kill anybody without any reason or provocation. I'd say that's pretty respectful. What actions should we avoid doing there? Nothing illegal, I would say. That's pretty much it. Just keep to the constraints of the law, of common sense as well, and you'll be just fine. Okay. Vinegar. I use vinegar for cooking, cleaning, and preserving, says Frederick. But is it grape vinegar or is it grain vinegar? That's where, because a Nazirite is allowed to partake of grain vinegar or other types of fruit vinegar, but not grape vinegar. That's the only one that we are not allowed to consume. You are not God, says Wesley. Who are you talking to, man? Because I'm pretty sure I didn't say that I'm God. Son of Mary is not death, alive with Allah, says Sid. Hi, Sid. Hello. It's good to see you again. If you believe, you shall be saved. The door is open, says Matthew, to those soever will. To those whosoever will. All who call upon the name of Lord shall be saved. Well, that's good for you. I simply don't believe that way. I don't put my faith in a human being. I put my faith in the Most High God. And there is something to be said for ancestral merit, of course. But no, it would be a grave misunderstanding for me to put real, right? That's why I don't consider Jesus to be Lord or Savior of any kind. He's just a man. He died like any other man. That's it. If he resurrected, he is God. Okay, but by that rationale, the ones who resurrected in the book of Kings are also God. And Elijah and Hanoch, who did not die and ascended, are also God. You see how it becomes very complicated very, very swiftly? I don't. What does Zeranpin mean? Zeranpin literally is Aramaic for small face. Zeranpin is a Kabbalistic term which relates to the masculine to the masculine divine presence, as opposed to Malchut, right? As opposed to Nukba, which is the feminine divine presence, and it's the lower Sfirot, the six, right? What's in the star, the points of the Star of David. That's what Zeranpin is. The 6 points, and the 7th invisible point in the center represents Nukba, the feminine. So that's Zeranpin means small face, as opposed to Arich Anpin, which is long face, right? Which is crown, keto. What do you think about Islam? Do you hate them? No, I do not hate Muslims, North Star. Not in the least. What do you think of, why do I think Isaiah 53 talks about, Z asks? Isaiah 53 talks about the people of Israel, not one specific human being, but the people of Israel. That's the traditional understanding of it. That is the traditional reading of it. That is what it is in context of the book of Isaiah, by and large. I understand that there are those Christians and followers of Jesus who say, oh, no, it's all about Jesus. They say that about the entire Bible. Like, okay, you're allowed to think the entire Bible is about Jesus. Nobody's taken that away from you. It's simply not the Hebrew way to look at it, not traditionally, not currently. It's been just over an hour. I'm going to say thank you to each and every one of you. I'm not saying goodbye. I'm saying a thank you. Those watching now, those watching later, the replay crew, I thank you for your time and your kind attention, your participation, and your engagement, your vitriol and your love and your encouragement, your strengthening words and your insults, and the Nazis and the lovers, the subs and the likes and the views and all the comments. It's truly heartwarming, and it's fun to engage with you good people, be it here or be it in the comments or in the DMs. If I don't get to you in the chat, by the way, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's not because I'm intentionally not paying attention. It's not because I'm banning or filtering or censoring. It's simply because there are a lot of people here and I can't address every single thing that is in the chat. But if you do want to speak, something to me, leave a comment. I address every single comment that is addressed to me that YouTube notifies me of. And hit me up in the DMs, Hebrew Nazarite across the board. Look for my tree on X, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I don't post much there for the DMs, as I always say. Hey, does Pentecost also have to do with the year of Jubilee? No, the year of Jubilee corresponds to the 50th year and the holiday of atonement, Yom HaKippurim, Chag HaKippurim. It corresponds in the sense that we count 50 days, 7 times 7 and then 1, just like we count 7 times 7 and then 1 with the Sabbaths of the land. In that sense, the correlation is that they both have to do with the number 50, or rather with 49 and then 50. Those are two different things. 49 is 7 times 7. 50 is 5 times 10. And there's a whole Kabbalistic interpretation there, and I won't get into it. But for all intents and purposes, that number 50 represents the 50 gates of Bina, the 50 gates of understanding. And Bina is the first, going from bottom to the top, is the first of the 3 higher sfirot, and it represents the left lobe of the brain, and it's known as the Great Mother. It represents Yom Kippurim. It represents the Jubilee. And what is it that happens on the Jubilee? Relinquishing everything, all debts, right? All lands, more often than not 100%, 99.9%, let's say, of lands. And all slaves are released, even if they took on more years of slavery after their initial 6 years. and they did not want to be released on the 7th year. And they said, no, I love my master, I love my wife, I love my kids, I have it great here, I want to stay. On the Jubilee, they must be set free. The Jubilee is the great emancipator. The Jubilee is the time when you are set free of slavery and bondage, whether you want it or not, because you must be free. That is what the Jubilee represents. That is what Pentecost represents. That's why it's the giving of the Torah. The truth shall set you free. Torah and truth have a corresponding Kabbalistic element that is attached to them, with which they are associated, to which they are attributed, of Tiferet, which is the 6-pointed star, right? Which is Ze'er Anpin. That's Tiferet, speaking of Ze'er Anpin. Hey, Seek Truth is here. How you doing, man? Let's see. 80 says, dude, if you're going to make videos, it's not videos, it's live streams, at least look like you haven't been living in the wild for years alone. Well, the Nazarite is commanded to grow their hair wild, and this is that wildness that you call wildness alone, that is a precise and very succinct definition of the Nazarite-ship. Wildness is letting nature take its course. Alone is what we had in Eden, right? We were just humanity and the divine revelation and nature over there, sort of in a secluded kind of thing. Oh, and only then did we fall. Only then were we expelled. Only then did we end up here with all the differences and the different nations and tongues and borders. But there was a oneness to Eden. There was a oneness. And this is evident even with the creation of humankind, which it says, right? It says Zachar u'Nekeva Abraham. It says that man and woman he made them, right? Male and female, and that they were created as one. And only later in the second account are they separated. You look like a child predator, Stephen says. Do you mean that I look like a kid who is a predator? Or do you mean I look like I attack children? I'm assuming it's the latter and not the former. Orb says, my local Chabad send a man named Baruch to my apartment to encourage me to get help with my mental health. He brings me bread and homemade yogurt. Ooh, that's nice. He bought me tefillin and a siddur. Good for you. I hope that you have the best of, circumstances and the best of help with your mental health. It is important to get mental health help. Indeed it is. I just had a session with my therapist before going live. We had an hour. She is so awesome. Hey, Tina. Bro, just read Surah Fatiha. You will see Allah, the light. You will feel Him. Thanks, Sid Life. I appreciate it. Not my cup of tea. Not yet. I guarantee you, with 1000% accuracy, if I can do such a thing, with as much of an absolute as I can, that I will not see Allah by reading one surah. Maybe if you lived here, I'm assuming you don't, but if you lived here, maybe you would understand why I balk at Islam and why I will only open up the Quran and the Hadith and study the lore of Muhammad when there's justice and peace in the region. What's the name of the charity you send your YouTube money to? So the first payment was to the Jerusalem Food Rescuers that have points all around Jerusalem, East and West Jerusalem, where they give out food to those in need. The second one was given to Yad Sarah, which takes care of the injured and the wounded and the elderly and the sick and the homebound and people who need transportation, people who need medical devices and different apparatuses and different machinery, and they give those out free of charge. I mean, they lend them out for a time free of charge, but you can make it longer. So, and the third payment I haven't gotten yet, and I should get it any day now. And please, I will have a poll, or at the very least a post in the community tab of this channel. Let me know where you think I should be giving it to. There were a few people who mentioned a few things so far, but those are the charities that I give to. Or those are the charities that I gave to in the previous two payments. There have only been two. This third payment, I'm not sure yet what it will be. What is some good advice you get from therapy? Ooh, trust the process. That's pretty good advice. Trust the process. Don't be discouraged. Keep working on yourself, despite all of your shortcomings and insufficiencies. If you give them time, if you don't run away from them, if you seek to confront them, right, to do that shadow work, as it were, in the Jungian lingo, then trust the process. That's what I would say. These people are assholes on here. You are a nice person. Thanks, your bard. It's okay. I'm an asshole too sometimes. We all have our moments of being a human anus. And what are you going to do? I guess you didn't see my earlier messages. No, JB2, I didn't. And questions, but you are a great soul energy, real purpose. Thank you. No, I haven't seen it. I'm sorry. I haven't seen it. You look like a Marx brother. Oh my God, what a compliment. Thank you. I mean, Groucho, Chico, Harpo, Zeppo, Gummo. What a bunch of characters. Now, I read Groucho Marx's autobiography, and I read Harpo Marx's autobiography. My father and I are both fans of the Marx Brothers. I think my favorite one has got to be A Night in Casablanca, A Night at the Opera. I think it's my favorite one, A Night at the Opera. But I mean, their earlier work, more than the later ones, their earlier work is, oh my God, Groucho with that mustache and those eyebrows and his faces and, oh man. Bro, comb your hair. Blurred lines. I'm a Nazarite. We do not comb our hair. We're not allowed. What would have to happen for you to believe that Jesus is God, says Z3? What would have to happen? I can't foresee any kind of circumstance or possibility as long as this current Torah still persists and exists, and it does, that I would be told a human being can be God incarnate. The Torah specifically says, don't make the mistake, I'm paraphrasing, of making a creation into a creator. Okay. Ooh, have you read The Garden of Emunah? Not the entire thing, right? Begana Emunah. Yes, I have, but not the entire thing. Baruch gave me a copy. It gave me a different outlook on misfortune and circumstances. I think suffering may be Hashem's will, or rather enduring. Well, some people say that, oh, you're just trying to rationalize bad things happen by an indifferent God and all that. God is a sadist, God is punishing, blah, 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 blah. I agree with what you're saying. Yes, and Began HaEmunah is truly a lovely book. It really, really is. Do you know there is a Jewish community in Pakistan too? They are called Bnei Ephraim, says Farwa Batul. I think I did know that at some point, though I didn't recognize it off the top of my head. Why don't you believe in the Prophet Muhammad? Says, well, I already addressed this earlier. Do you wait for doomsday? No, I don't. I don't wait for doomsday. I'm focusing on the here and now, right? Be here now. That is what the focus of the Torah is on. That's why the Torah does not mention a doomsday. That's why the Torah doesn't mention, any afterlife, so to speak. It is alluded to in Eden, since we have not yet completed our Edenic mission. We are still on the way to doing that. But no, I don't wait for doomsday. I wait for life. Life, peace, life, justice. That's what I await. And that's what we are striving towards. What would have to happen for you to believe Elmo is God? Oh, well, I mean, isn't he? Pretty sure he is. Elmo. Hi, where's your kippah if you're religious? First of all, I don't consider myself religious. Second of all, I do not wear a kippah. The crown of the Nazarite is higher than any piece of fabric, which is why I do not wear a kippah. Why follow Judah if he is the traitor to Jesus? Trying to understand. So Judah of Krayot, Judah Ish Krayot, who, according to the New Testament, betrayed Jesus, is not Judah, son of Jacob, that later became the tribe of Judah, that later became part of the kingdom of Judah, right? That's Judah, Benjamin, and parts of Levi. You don't follow Judah. Judah did some great things. You follow in his footsteps, right? Him with Tamar was a great thing. The way that he approached Joseph about Benjamin was a great thing. We don't follow people as gods. We follow in their footsteps. And it's not that we follow Judah. We follow the faith of the remnants of the kingdom of Judah and the Hebrews who were there. They are called Jews. That's what we are. What is the simplest kosher mean a beginner can cook? I'm assuming it was supposed to be meal. The simplest kosher meal, rice and beans. There you go. Rice and beans and tofu. I think that's the simplest. Rumeli Beiler Bey says, can you read my name? It's Aposiken. I don't know what that is. I am ignorant. Please enlighten me. What is Aposiken? What is your first name? Jonathan. That is my name. Why are you a Nazarite if you're not religious? Henry Kahan asks. Kohen? That's nice. I mean, is it Kahan or is it Kohen? Well, first of all, I grew up modern Orthodox in Jerusalem. I kept strict halacha until my late 20s. I took my vow at age 27. The Naziriteship has nothing to do with being religious or not being religious. I was called to the Naziriteship and I answered that call. I wanted to make a commitment and a covenant of a personal nature between myself and the Most High God, and that is the way that it manifests physically in the world through the Nazirite vow. I am a Samson Nazirite, and you don't have to be religious to be a Nazirite. All the prerequisites are be a man or woman of the Hebrew tribes. That's all it is. It doesn't say you must be religious. So that's why I am a Nazirite, because I was called to this path. Hi Shiloh, I'm Jonathan, or Jonathan, or Johnny if you're into the brevity thing. What do you think of the Shroud of Turin and the science behind its origin? Nothing. It makes no difference to me if that is like an imprint of Jesus or not. Jesus is a dead guy. I don't really care if that's a garment that he was buried in or not. I really, really don't. It means absolutely nothing to me. It doesn't mean that it's nothing to followers of Jesus and Christians and others likely, but not to me. To me, it's just a fabric. That's it. It's all that it is. Other people, for instance, can take a look at the me'il, at the coat of the high priest, and I attribute great significance and sacredness to it, and they say, no, it's just a piece of clothing. In the very same way, I say, no, it's just a shroud. That's all. Who called you to Nazarite? Excuse my ignorance. Well, I felt a calling inside and outside toward the Naziriteship. There was no human being who called me to it. I felt beckoned to it. I felt called to make a vow of a Nazirite. Thank you very much for explaining the Judah situation. He says, we have been confused. See, you help a lot of people understand. Only said about Judah because last night Judaism descended of Judah. Yeah, so Judaism is the faith and the religion of the remnant of the kingdom of Judah. And the 10 lost tribes were the kingdom of Israel, exiled by the king of Assyria, Shalmaneser. So yeah. I swear, says North Star, that you will find peace you have never felt before in your life after becoming a good Muslim. I swear by my life and the lives of my family that you will find peace and comfort in Islam. Very good. I'm very happy about that. It's just not my thing, and I don't plan on doing it. And I will plan on reading the Quran and delving into those teachings later on when there is justice and peace in the land. I guarantee you with as much certainty as I can that my mind and my life have been so warped by bloodshed and war and terrorism and awfulness perpetrated by Muslims that if I read it now, it would be with such a subjective view, such an unclean and impure view of Islam that you don't want me to read it now. Believe me, you really, really don't. You're a fool, says Jordan. Of course I'm a fool. That's part of what I'm doing here. You're saying that as if it's some sort of a statement. Okay? Of course I'm a fool. I love being a fool. It's part of what I'm doing here. I don't mind. Call me a fool. How is that a bad thing? Do you think Jesus was a good prophet? If so, why kill him? Ask the Romans. The Romans are the ones who killed him, not the Jews. Second of all, I don't know if he was a prophet or not, because the spirit of prophecy was taken away from the children of Israel, and he was around at a time when the spirit of prophecy was no longer among us, and so he was not a prophet. The final prophets were Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi, and he is not one of them. He came, if he did, a few hundred years later. Ergo, not an actual prophet, according to the Hebrew faith and according to the Hebrew tradition. I know Christians see him as a prophet. I know Muslims see him as a prophet. Nobody has taken that away from you. Keep believing that. It's all good. Those who follow the Hebrew faith and those who follow Torah and those who follow the traditions, at least as they are laid out in the external teachings and the oral Torah, no, he's not a prophet. Did he have some sort of a lower form of prophecy, what's called Ruach HaKodesh? Very well could be, because that's still around. Two different types of spirits of prophecy, a higher one and a lower one. The higher one is called spirit of prophecy. The lower one is called spirit of sacredness. Spirit of sacredness is still among us, to those who merit it. Spirit of prophecy, not yet still among us. It was given to children and fools. So, yeah. Appreciate you. At least I understand things. Won't be ignorant about it all. And, you know, we're all ignorant about something, right? And I'm very ignorant about most things. Quit preaching bullshit, says Smoke. I mean, it is bullshit, but I'm not preaching. I'm talking to people. We're having discussions, right? It's a dialogue. It's discourse. I'm not a preacher. Do you know about Daniel 9 is prophetic about Jesus? Of course, followers of Jesus, as I've said many times, see him throughout the entire Bible. Jews who are not messianic don't. He does not appear in the Bible, not even once, not even a little, not even a tiny, tiny bit. Not as Messiah, not as Lord, Savior, God. You know, virgin shall conceive, which is a mistranslation, intentional mistranslation. None of it does not exist in the Hebrew faith. Messianic Jews is a different story. Some of them believe Jesus was Messiah. Some of them believe Jesus will make a comeback. I don't know if they believe Jesus is God. That would already make them, all right, like really against the Torah. And that's pretty much it. But Jesus does not appear in the Bible, not even a little. And they say, oh, no, it's all allegory. He has alluded to everything from the beginning of Genesis to the end of Chronicles, and all throughout it. You can see Jesus everywhere. I've had Christians many times send me lists this long, comments, this long, with all the different places in which he appears in Scripture, and to which I say the same thing. You can think that, but the prophets and the writings and the scrolls that you just put forth with evidence of Jesus, those prophets and writings and scrolls are there to turn you back to the 5 books of Moses. There are no commandments in the other parts of the Bible. It's all canonized in order to get you back to Torah and commandments and covenant of Moses. And in the Torah it says, no God in the flesh, no God incarnate. Don't make a creator out of a creation. That's it. That's where it comes down to. So I don't see Jesus anywhere. Not in the Bible, not here in this room, not in my cup of tea, not ever. Ever. And people have told me, oh, you should ask God to show you Jesus. So I did. I did that a few times. And now you might say, no, you need to do it more than a few times. Fair enough. But at least I gave it a shot. I did. Did not see Jesus. Now, you can say that I'm just a stiff-necked fool, willfully ignorant and blind. Yes, I am. This is a hill I will die on. Gladly. The Torah says, a human being cannot be God. That's it. End of story. Are you a Jedi follower? Essentially, yes. I mean, I have my moments where I like the dark side. I like Orson Krennic. I like him a lot. You do the same thing, says Omar Mahmoud. What is this same thing that I do? Wow, says Omar. You do the same thing. What do I do? I don't believe you, says Matthew. I'm not asking you to believe me. That's the beauty of this. We're just having a conversation. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm not trying to alter your views, change your mind, get you to think differently. Not in the least, not even a little bit. It's a conversation. It's a dialogue. It's a Q&A. That's what we are doing here. I'm not an apologetic. I'm not an apologist, and I'm not a debater. I'm not trying to, blow your mind and cause you to convert to Judaism. Not at all. Don't convert to Judaism. Don't do it. If you're called to it, then do it. The hill is not worth dying over. Okay, Matthew, by all means. It's all good. You're allowed to think that. That is the beauty of free speech and discourse. We are allowed to disagree. Henry says, why aren't you religious if you know more Torah than most Jews and believe in Hashem? If you don't mind me asking, I don't consider myself religious. I don't want to put that label on me. I try to follow Torah, written and oral alike. I no longer keep strict rabbinic law in some things, but I did for many years. It's a lovely path. It's a wonderful path. I spoke of halakha in the beginning of this live stream a short while ago. So I don't consider myself religious because I don't want to have, first of all, there's no rabbi that I consult with regularly and that I go to. I have no living master at this time that I call rabbi. I learned from a lot of rabbis, but I have no living master that I call Rav Muvhak, right? My rabbi. Second of all, I don't keep strict halacha any longer, which is why I don't want to be associated with any type of group or sect or denomination. So that's why I don't consider myself religious. There are people who are looking from the outside in and who would say, yes, obviously you are religious, obviously, but I still don't choose to define myself as such. I'm just a regular Am Haaretz Hebrew man, no more, no less. That's what I am. As for knowing more Torah than most Jews, I don't think I know more Torah than most Jews. I think that, look, I love the Torah, I study it regularly, I have had my time in yeshiva, I grew up religious in Jerusalem. I wouldn't go so far as to say that I know most Torah than most Jews, because the Torah that most Jews know is the internal Torah of midot, right? Of midot, of personality traits and attributes. And that is Torah. As for believing in Hashem, yes, I believe in the creator of, I believe in our creator. That's pretty much it, but I don't consider myself religious, just for that, for those reasons. You blur the distinction between creator and creation. No, I don't. There's a complete distinction between creator and creation. I don't know God. I will never know God. There's a clear-cut difference between them. Jews believe God wrestled creation. False. There was a divine messenger. It says, Vayavek ish imo, a man wrestled with him until the sun came up. It does not say God. It says, Sarita im Elohim ve'im anashim. It says you have strived. Elohim is a certain divine revelation pertaining to a specific emanation of God, right? The rule is, if I can perceive it, if I can understand it, if I can verbalize it, if I can conceptualize it, if I can sense it in any way, shape, or form, it is immediately already not God, but a divine revelation, emanation, garments and clothing in which God is clothed to reveal and hide himself from the world. In the very same way, we speak of all these different names and messengers and revelations, right? And mercy and wrath and anger, the nose of God, the eyes of God, the hand of God, the finger of God. God has none of these things, no attributes, no anthropomorphizing. Did I get her? I don't think I got her. Oh, I did get her. I think I did. No anthropomorphizing of God. I don't know God. All I know is revelations of God. The distinction between creator and creation is very much there, according to the teachings that I personally follow. Other people, for instance, in certain Hasidic sects, who believe that the soul of a human being, more particularly of the Jewish human being, according to some, is chelek Elohim imal, part of God above. That is something that I believed for years, and I no longer believe it, and I have not believed it for over a decade, ever since I started getting into the teachings of Rabbi Moshe Cordovero. So, some Jews do blur the distinction between creator and creation. Grant you that, of course. I don't. I believe there is a clear-cut distinction. Clear. Like unequivocally cannot be penetrated, cannot be passed. Shut your hole, Kryman cards. What? Not following you, man. Not following you. Okay. Let's continue. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw someone say that I'm a rabbi. No, I'm not a rabbi. I've never been ordained as a rabbi. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a teacher. Not an educator. I'm not learned. I'm not educated. I'm not, any kind of a scholar or academic or researcher in any way. I'm the lowest of the low. I'm one simple dumbass in the Middle East with a phone and a cup of tea and my own crazy, thought and bloops and bleeps. That's all that this is. So no, I'm not a Bible. You need to learn Torah Shebe'al Peh. Yes, I do learn Torah Shebe'al Peh. I haven't touched the Talmud in many years. Mishnah is something I feel more attached to. You can understand, right? More Hebrew, less Aramaic, even though I'm a fan of Aramaic. So, yes, I agree that you need to learn Torah Shebe'al Peh. Who is this? Sholmer Langer. Hi, Sholmer. Yes, I agree. You need the written Torah and you need the oral Torah. JB says, this is so confusing. Do you believe in heaven and hell? No, Jews have no hell. And heaven is but a waiting room. If you don't follow the faith, you will go to hell. No, there is no hell. There is something akin to purgatory called Gehinnom, but it's not even purgatory. It's something else. A place of cleansing and purification and purgation. Is it just you don't believe in the New Testament? Why and why not? Because even though I can gain wisdom from it, I cannot gain any faith from it. Right? It's a Christian Bible. I am not a Christian. It's all about Jesus. I don't follow Jesus. That's pretty much it. He is not a God, not Lord, not Savior, not anything. He's a dead guy. Can you learn from the gospel? Yes, but not faith. You can learn wisdom. And indeed, I've learned wisdom from the gospel in the sense of the way that he spoke to the people, the different things that he did there, the stories that were told about him. He seems like a stand-up guy that I would be happy to call rabbi if I was around at the time, and maybe I would have followed him around Jerusalem as well. Or, the Galilee, or wherever he was at the time. But he's dead. That's all he is. That's it. So what is confusing, JB2? What is confusing? Are Jewish people allowed to marry people from other religions? No, they do it, but they're not allowed to according to halacha. You might see, Michael says, hey, Michael, you might see yourself as just simple and basic. Indeed I am, and indeed I do. But some of us know that you're connected to God, you're made from God. Again, I disagree, I'm not made from God, but okay. So you're a holy divine being. One day I hope you'll see that you're a holy divine. No, I'm holy in the sense that anybody who is part of the Hebrew tribes who wishes to follow Torah, keeps commandments, and tries to walk, before God with simplicity, and so they set themselves apart in that way. Any human being who does that, forget Jews, a human being who sets himself or herself apart and wishes to walk before God and takes the steps to do that, right? With righteousness and humility, that person is holy. By definition, they set themselves apart. They set their own life apart in such a way. So they are holy. They are set apart. But I do believe I am simple and basic, and I don't want to be anything other than simple and basic. I'm a basic bitch. That's what I am. What is Sheol? Sheol is the underworld, Derek. It's the world of the dead. It is not hell. It is not purgatory. It's not a place of punishment. It's simply the underworld. Fenryuki says, what is after heaven for Jews? I've never heard anything about that. So heaven is a waiting room, right? There's a higher Eden and a lower Eden. We need to partake of the fruit of the tree of life. That was put under guard, but never actually explicitly forbidden. So when the time is ripe, and when the time is right, we will, as one unified human race, God willing, come together, arrive at the gates, arrive at the path, and the flaming turning sword and the cherubs that were there will become from guards, they will become guides, God willing, and help us and usher us into that phase 2 of all creation, partaking of the fruit of the tree of life, true life, not life as opposed to death, right? This is the Nazarite Awareness Week. This video, this stream is life and death. It's not life as opposed to death. It's not womb and tomb. It is life that we don't know right now, something that we cannot perceive right now. There's a paradigm shift in all of creation, and the entirety of multiverses that we inhabit will be elevated to phase 2. And some people even then say that this is only one cycle of 7 in and of itself. But we can get to that in a different time. Let's continue. If I die before I wake. Yeah, so good to see you again. That reminds me of Enter Sandman by Metallica. Hush, little baby, don't say a word. That was not a good James Hetfield impression. I have done better. That's an interesting thought. Yeah, look, heaven is like a waiting room. We are awaiting the partaking of the fruit of the tree of life. DW says, spirituality is an inward journey to God, while religion was meant to guide its followers there. Yeah, that's pretty much spot on. Unfortunately, religion lost that purpose a long time ago. Do we agree? No, I do not agree. I agree that that kind of is a good interpretation or definition of it, like a lighter on-the-fly definition of it. One is the connection itself. The other is how you implement it in reality. As for, do I agree that religion lost the purpose? No, I don't. I think religion, despite all of its faults and all of its shortcomings and all of its failures and all of its inadequacies, all the places where it sucks, all the places where people warp it, all the places where religious people control the masses and become drunk with power and authority, all of that crap, there is still a nugget of righteousness and truth that cannot be broken, right? In the idea of religion, and I've said this before, even like real organized religion, it's still a path, it's still a way, it's still a discipline. And a human being who chooses to take on a discipline voluntarily, like religion, assuming that one does it voluntarily, it means, or maybe not even voluntarily, but let's say voluntarily, because that's the better one, right? To take it on voluntarily, and not just because I grew up religious, so I'm religious, but to really come to the point of understanding I'm doing it voluntarily, not simply because I was taught, so I do. Though there is merit to that too, make no mistake. When you walk a disciplined path, when you walk a way that is greater than yourself, when you live a life that is not self-centric, of course the ego is there, of course you are there, that solipsistic element of only me experiencing my consciousness and my awareness, that all still exists. And yet many sacred texts and many holy books recommend and command indeed for us to think outside of our limited knowledge and box of being. We are commanded to think of others. We are commanded to raise our awareness, expand our consciousness, right? Elevate ourselves. And in that, there is an element of truth and of righteousness and of elevation where you connect to something that is higher than yourself. You connect to something greater than yourself. And in doing so, you transcend your limitations. You transcend your suffering. You transcend your own limited physical being here in this world. You connect to something that is so primordial and so root of all creation like, and you are able to sustain that connection through your actions here in this world. That's part of what religion facilitates. Now, I'm making a broad generalization. I'm talking like in an absolute form, and there are no absolutes. And there is a hierarchy of values, and we could attribute different religions and put them and rank them according to their adherence to these values and these attributes that we consider good, bad, moral, ethical. It changes from place to place, from time to time. So I agree and I disagree with what you said. Blimey, sweetheart, that's a proper Nash. Hey, stinky farter, good to see you. How are your farts doing these days? It's good to see you again. As a Catholic, I am researching Judaism and I'm wondering what you do in synagogue. Christ-loving kid. So in synagogue, it's basically a place of prayer and study. That's basically what it is. Normally, it's prayer and study. It's usually where the Torah is read. You need to have, according to the denomination, you need to have a congregation of at least 10 men of age, bar mitzvah and up, 13 years and 1 day and up. The Torah scroll is there. A lot of times different holy books are there. It's a place for prayer, for congregating, for celebrating different things, right? For welcoming the Sabbath with wine and drink and merriment in some cases, for study and for prayer. That's basically what it is, for study and for prayer. That's the basic function of the synagogue. Let's go with the poll. 275 votes in, people. 37%, no haircut, no brush, no comb is the most difficult thing. Right behind it, 33% of you, exactly a third, who say, yep, they pretty much all suck, all the prohibitions. And 50% apiece, 15% apiece with corpses and grapes. Z says, I'm Christian, but reading more about how Torah describes that God cannot become a human being while also being the backbone of Christianity feels like Bible contradicts itself with Jesus. Yes, it does. The Hebrew Bible does not condone any kind of God in the flesh. That's it. Imagine, says Esh Kodesh Adonai, imagine Jews think they can tell God what he can do. No, that's not exactly correct. That's not exactly correct. What Jews would say is that halacha, rabbinic law, and the mitzvahs, the commandments, were given to people for people to perform, not the demons and not the angels, not those who have died and not those who have not yet been born. It is us here, living in this world, in this nasty, stanky, funky reality that we call a world of good and evil, that we call the world of asiya, a world of doing, a world of action. Here, the human being does have authority. What does Moses say? Moses says, the Torah isn't up in the heavens. The Torah isn't across the great sea. The Torah is in your heart and on your lips. It is inside and outside of the human being to perform in your mouth and in your heart, to perform it, to practice it, to do it, to carry it out in reality. And as such, yes, human beings make halacha. Human beings decide which opinion of the majority or the minority becomes halacha, becomes rabbinic law. Yes, to the degree that even if there is a divine revelation that comes out and says that halacha should be by X, if there is no consensus, halacha is not according to X. It is according to Y or Z or A, whichever one the mob, the masses, can carry out. That's the way that halacha works. That's the way that oral traditions were passed down. Now, the oral traditions were canonized in the Mishnah and the Talmud that never should have been. It was a process of exile and destruction that they said, okay, we're going to forget it all. It's the lesser of two evils. Let's write down that which we should have never written down. But they did. But the oral traditions were meant to progress and evolve and carry on with humanity, with reality, with society, with civilization. And in many respects, halacha is now stuck in the past. I'll give you that. But it's not that we are telling God what to do. It's that we are full partners in deciding our own rabbinic law and destiny as a result of that. Truly, how do we go about fulfilling the commandments? How do we go about fulfilling the written Torah? That's what halacha is. For people, by people. See what I mean? Now you can contradict me and say that I'm wrong. By all means, do that. God decides everything, says Esh Kodesh Adonai. Okay, what does it mean God decides? What does it mean to decide? Decision means that you have a notion, and then you say, yes, let's go with that. That implies what? That God has a brain? That God has a functioning corpus? What does that mean? How can God decide anything? That means having different options, and that means having a duality. So what do you mean when you say God decides? And I'm not nitpicking here to be a dick. I'm trying to get you to understand how I think of it as opposed to how you think of it. We can both be right, to each his own, but that's simply the way I'm thinking about it. Yes, you're telling him what to do. Okay, continue, back that up. How are we telling God what to do? How are we telling God what to do? All we know is divine revelation. We do not know God. And the human being, right, the righteous human being, can bend divine revelation to his or her will. What is it that Eliyahu did on Mount Carmel? Right? He built an altar, or repaired an altar, where he was not supposed to do that because the temple was in Jerusalem, and he was not allowed to do it. He did it anyway. He called out to God, right? At the time of the mincha, at the time of the afternoon, towards evening, he called out to God, and the whole thing with the 400 prophets of the Baal, and he slaughtered them all, or they slaughtered them all. What did he do? He called to the divine revelation, and he said, Aneni Adonai Aneni, right? Answer me, and they will know that it is you who have turned them backwards. So that is a human being having dominion over creation. This is part of what we were put here on in this creation to do. Mankind was given dominion, right? Now some people screw it up and some people do this or that, whatever, but we were meant to have the potential of bending the divine revelation and the laws of physics to our will to some degree. The question is, what is the will? What is this choice? What is this decision that we want to make? All right. Look at that, says Omar. In Islam, we hear and obey. We don't have the guts to have an opinion after Allah and His messengers say something. Okay, it's not the same thing with the Hebrew faith. We have rabbinic law that is made by people for people. Nazarite says Morpheus 1. Hello, Morpheus. Do you buy the bull from the Bible? Let's put it this way. First of all, yes, but I don't take it as everything happened there exactly, literally, historically accurate. No, as far as I'm concerned, it could all be fairy tale, myths, stories pulled out of someone's butt. There's still wisdom there. There is still truth to be gleaned. In the very same way that there is truth in other archetypal stories that were passed down throughout the generations. It doesn't have to make them true for you to derive truth from them. See what I'm saying? You can derive truth from lies. You can derive truth from things that are made up. The question is, what is the lens through which you are looking at it? Are you letting it affect you? Are you open to have it influence you? All right. The Lord came to Abraham in Genesis as 3 men, says Licht King 4. No, that is not the Lord. Those are 3 messengers. That is divine revelation, not the divine. Each one of those messengers corresponds to a different task, a unique task. One was there to heal Abraham. One was there to overturn Sodom and Amorah. One was there to let them know that Isaac would be born, right? And a year later, each one had its own task. Each one had its own purpose. That is divine revelation, corresponding to a specific sphira, a specific divine emanation. That is the tradition. Revelations is really hard to believe, says Derek. I'm not sure what you mean, but okay. Do you agree with the Talmud respectfully? What do you mean agree with the Talmud? The Talmud has many things that did not become rabbinic law. The Talmud has many things between the conversations that have no bearing on the outcome of rabbinic law later on. So what do you mean, do you believe the Talmud? The Talmud is oral traditions. The Talmud is lore and myth and legend and debates and discussions on the nature and the interpretation of the Mishnah that preceded it. So I don't understand the question. I do follow rabbinic law, albeit less strictly than I did in the past, but I still do follow rabbinic law pretty much every day. Alex says you have a very pleasant kind of speaking. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Literally, any of the other stories are more questionable than Revelations. Well, no. When I say Revelation, I don't mean the Christian Bible book of Revelation. That's not what I mean. I hope that's clear. Not being rude, says Free Palestine. I support Jews that support Palestine, but the question I have is, why do Jews look alike? Many of them look like you. Well, Jews look alike because we come from Judea. Jews don't look alike because there are many converts who joined the fold over the years and added their genetic material to the gene pool. And we did have generations of exile in different locations, east and west alike, and all over the world, so people don't look the same. That's pretty much it. That's what it comes down to. Vader, says Joshua. You're darn tootin' right. What is divine revelation? European Union says. Divine revelation is the way in which God reveals himself in the world. That's what it is. It can be through nature. It can be through Torah. The original divine revelation is encompassed in what's called the Tree of Life, or the 10 Sfirot, the Kabbalistic 10 Sfirot. That is the root of divine revelation. That's what it is. There are divine revelations of light, divine revelations of vessels, 10 Sfirot of each. This is how the Most High God, unfathomable, untouchable, unthinkable, and inconceivable, reveals himself in the world. That's what that is. Michael says, if you show people love and you care about them and you show them great compassion and understanding and wisdom, the way he's showing people, that is the way of Jesus. He is believing in Jesus, showing love, says Michael. I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, all of those things are well and good, and I'm very happy you brought that up. Jepper says, correct me if I'm wrong, but Judaism practicers know the rules of the Torah, but will go through great lengths to bypass them. No, there's the rules of the Torah in the written Torah, and then there's the halacha, which is the details of how it actually is implemented in the world, in reality. And that is something that is not written. It's an oral tradition that sadly had to be written down. So, Head covers, wigs, no work on Sabbath. They have people do this stuff. Okay, here's the thing. People can see it as bypassing and as loopholes, and many people do see it that way. I, as somebody who has kept strict halacha and keeps it a little less strict nowadays in certain things, I, as somebody who did used to think that it's loopholes, but then actually studied halacha in yeshiva and saw where they derive these loopholes and these bypasses from, like I said, by people for people. It means head covering, wigs, and this is a controversy and a difference of opinion, right? No work on Sabbath, have people do this stuff. Again, this has details. It's a little bit of an oversimplification. While you are correct in principle that these things are things, there are people who do certain labors for Jews on Shabbos. There are women who are married who wear wigs. These things exist, but that's not a bypass. That's simply a different way of interpreting halacha. It's still rabbinic law. The question is, if you're going to say that it's a bypass, learn what the halachic bypass actually is. Learn what this halachic loophole is. More often than not, in my experience, you will understand and you will see when you go, okay, so how did they get from head covering to wigs? How did they get from no work to the ability, and anchoring it in the text, and anchoring it in tradition, and anchoring it in halacha, rabbinic law? How did they get from A to B? The journey from A to B is significant. The process of understanding the written Torah to the oral Torah and rabbinic law, which is derived from it, is a significant thing. It's paramount to understanding why it is indeed not bypassing or a loophole, though you can still think that. That's all well and good. And maybe there are times when it actually is. Maybe. But to make halacha, to derive rabbinic law from the oral traditions, right? And in tandem with the written Torah, this is something that halachic scholars and rulers do. It's not necessarily bypassing, it's not necessarily creating a loophole. Not necessarily. And it's something that can be explained more in detail to those who are more knowledgeable in halacha than I. So, or by those who are more knowledgeable than I am. But my limited experience with halacha, and with keeping halacha for that matter, which is not limited, but you see what I'm saying? It's not bypasses as far as I'm concerned, and it's not loopholes. But that's just the way that I think. Hey, new dog is here. How you doing? You have been blessed. Indeed, I have been blessed. Jepper says, you're a good man. I thank you for your answer. I am a supporter of Israel and the Jewish people. Much obliged. May we have peace. May we have peace. JB says, divine revelation is who? Is it God? No, it's a revelation of God, but not God. In the very same way that you see me, I say this every time, as a digital projection of zeros and ones on your screen. And you see this shirt, and you see these glasses, and it seems crystal clear, right? Full HD. Is it me? No. Anybody would tell you that what you're seeing on the screen right now is not Jonathan. It's not me. It's a digital projection of me. Pretty damn accurate, too. But it's still inextricably, inextricably, zeros and ones, pixels, a digital projection of a human being. And even me, myself, and I, right now, look, me, right here. This is a body. These are words coming out. Is it truly my essence? Is it my inner monologue? Is it my consciousness? No, it's just a revelation of all of those things. And it's from the way that I choose to dress, to the way that I choose to wear my hair or my beard, to the words that I speak. See what I'm saying? How do you discern what's divine and what isn't? Well, we have the Torah. That's primarily how we discern what is divine and what isn't. How do you know you are right? I don't. I don't know that I'm right, and I don't think that I'm right. I'm right for me. I don't think that I'm right and everyone else is wrong. I don't think that the way that I follow Torah is right and everyone else is wrong. I don't think my religion is right and all other religions are false. That's not the way I think at all. I think that I am a human being wanting a connection to my Creator. I was born into this faith. I took on this path of Torah and commandments and the covenants therein. This is what I'm going with. These are my connections. And the Naziriteship, on top of that for me, on top of it or alongside it, not on top of it. So I know that I'm right for me because I get a continuous feedback from creation, from life, from the people around me. I get a constant reminder every single day that I have a job to do in this world, and I better damn well get on with it. And in times when I slack off, and in times when I transgress, and in times when I fail, and times when I fall, I feel a little bad about it sometimes, and I am able to pick myself up and dust myself off and keep going, because the Torah says, choose life. You have a mission here. You have a job to do. Choose that. Oh, wait a second. Glitch? We're good? Okay. Z says law can't just change. You're mistaken. Rabbinic law can change. It really, literally can. If the Torah says God can't become a man and Bible is based on it, then why have any laws if they can just change? If God knew he would send down his son, why is that the law? Well, again, I'm not a Christian. I don't follow Jesus. You'll have to ask a Christian this thing. I have no idea what you're talking about. I really don't. I'm not trying to belittle your comment or your question there. I just really don't know. I don't consider Jesus to be God's son or sent as some sort of a nothing. None of that. It means literally nothing to me. That might piss you off a bit, but it really, really doesn't. As far as I'm concerned, he is just a dead Hebrew man. A righteous one, a good one, but a dead Hebrew man nonetheless. You missed my super chat, JP says. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it. I didn't see that it came in. Oh, okay, here we go. In the 70th week in Daniel, 7 years long, and why is called Jacob trouble? I'm not sure about that question. Hang on a second. Let me just look quickly at Daniel 7 in the JPS Tanach. Oh, it's Tzarai Yaakov. That's what it is. I'm assuming that's what that is. It's because the book of Daniel speaks of all the different empires that will come and exile and make suffering, right, upon the Hebrew people. And that is why it's called a time of trouble for Jacob. Daniel 7, the JPS Tanach. Yes. That's right. The time with the voice, yes. Ba, 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 ba. Wow, I haven't read Daniel in proper, it's English here, but I haven't read the proper Aramaic in a while. So yes, the beasts and the kings and all of that, yes, it's the different kingdoms. It's called Jacob's. It's 7 years long to represent a cycle, right? Like the Sabbath and like the 7 times 7 of the Sabbath of the land and the Jubilee. The 7 represents a cycle, right? 7 continents, 7 deserts, and 7 seas, right? 7 days, all of that. 7 years, that whole thing, that whole 7 thing. And a time of trouble, because very much in part of creation in this world, right? Creation as it manifests in this world, that idea of suffering being part and parcel of being. And there's a way to transcend it. But don't make the mistake of thinking you won't suffer. There is suffering, and it is an inherent part of living. But you can transcend it. You can have your suffering serve a greater purpose. You yourself can elevate yourself, and in doing so, burn off that karma, let's say, and not see it as suffering, but come to a different understanding, right? You expand your mind, and you are able to see things differently. You elevate yourself higher, and you're able to see further and clearer, right? You go above the fog of existence, and you're able to see things the way that they are. Something along those lines. That's what the 7-year thing represents, right? The cyclic nature of that it's always part of nature, right? And suffering is part of being in this world as much as death is. And yet there is a way to transcend it, right? Cleave to the tree of life, cleave to the Torah, cleave to the commandments, carry them out, and you will, by definition of doing that, by merit and by virtue of you connecting to that higher being, that higher self, you will be able to transcend that limited nature, that suffering that is in this world. Is it 100% absolute? No. And some people are good, righteous, humble people who keep Torah and commandments and who die of an aneurysm while jogging in the park at age 30. That's part of nature as well. Okay. We are all sons and daughters of the Most High, says New Dog, but we shall die as men. Yes, and women. Yes, I agree. Sons and daughters of the Most High symbolically. JB says, if you follow Judaism, why do you say you are a Nazarite? Because I'm you cannot take a Nazarite vow if you're not a Jew. You need to be a man or a woman of the Hebrew tribes. Does it mean you are from Jesus of Nazareth? No, that is a Nazarene. Nazarene means from Nazareth, or that you follow the Nazarene Christianity. Nazarite means that you are a man or woman of the Hebrew tribes who took on a Nazarite vow. That's the difference. It's a very common, point of confusion, Nazarite and Nazarene. All right, it has been 2 hours. I will say goodnight. I will say goodbye. This has been so much fun, and I thank you, each and every one of you, those watching now, those watching later, for joining me. You could be doing anything else right now. Truly, you could be doing so many other things, but you are here with me, live, raw, unscripted, and unfiltered from Jerusalem, and I deeply appreciate your time. I deeply appreciate your kind attention, and the gentle nature of your speech in the chat, and the ones who were harsher, and, the likes and the subs and the views and the insults, the vitriol, the Nazis, the naysayers, the encouragers. It's so much fun to engage with you. It's so much fun to have this discourse with you. It gives me such sustenance and such strength on this Nazarite Awareness Week to be here with you. We discussed life and death. We discussed many other things that came up in the chat. God willing, I will see you on the next live stream where the wonders never cease tomorrow. On tomorrow's Nazarite Awareness Week live stream, we will be discussing Nazariteship in the modern age. And I know a thing or two about that, so that should be interesting. And I hope that you are blessed. I hope that you be a blessing. I hope that you be the light in other people's lives and your own. And once again, if I didn't get to you in the chat, my apologies. Hit me up in a comment. If you don't want to hit me up in a comment, then send me a DM, Hebrew Nazarite, look for my tree on X, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. I think that's about it. Yes, peace and love from Jerusalem. This has been so much fun. I deeply appreciate your time. I don't take it for granted that I press go live and there's a conversation here and there's a dialogue here, there's discourse here, there's a lovely back and forth here. It's so much fun, and you make it happen. Likewise, those who contributed to charity, every single shekel that you give goes to charity. Last week in April, you raised over $550, and this month of May is shaping up to be a very good month for charity as well. If there is a specific charity in Jerusalem that you want me to give to, pipe up, because I'm gonna, leave a comment or something, because I am about to receive that payment in the next day or two, I think. Let's end the poll and see. 37%. I'm not asking for money. There are people who are giving. Extracted. I'm not asking for money. I never asked for money once. All I said was that if you are going to give, it goes to charity. 100% of it. I'm very transparent about this. I give you my analytics. I give you my bank account, right? The screenshot. And I give you the receipt from the charitable organization, and you see they correspond one-to-one. So I'm not asking for money. People, please, don't give me money. All the money goes to charity. If you want to give to charity, support the channel, and it will go to charity. That's it. All right. So, hang on a second. No, you're not ridiculously asking for money. Disheveled, I don't know if you're being cynical or not, but I not once, not even one time in my many years on YouTube, not once did I say, please support the channel, send money. Not once. Ever. And nor will I ever say that, I think. That's it. If I wanted the money, why would I give it away? Why would I donate it in your name? It's your money. I'm just the middleman. I'm just the bagman. It all goes to charity. I said, if there is a sponsorship deal or a brand deal that comes my way, I plan on keeping 90% of that and giving a tithe. But anything from AdSense, Super Chat, Super Stickers, Super Thanks, 100% of it goes to charity. On that note, thank you to you people who did contribute, who continue to contribute. If you doubt me, by all means, check out my recent posts from previous month or two, and you will see that 100% of it goes to charity. I don't keep any of it. And on that note, good night from Jerusalem.